This is my mock session videotape. And the situation that we have here is this is Mr. and Mrs. Parra. And what we're going to do is we've decided that we've decided that Otilia is going to, she's been advised to seek residential care for Dawn and for Dawn who has Alzheimer's. And the referral for therapy was because she would not take the advice. And okay, so here we go. And the therapy that I chose to use is solution brief therapy. Solution focused brief therapy. All right, here we go. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Parra.
Hi.
I just wanted to let you know that per our last visit, I was able to look at the paperwork that you submitted. We did receive the 2 comprehensive intakes that both of you filled out, and I do want to bring up a couple of those things here in just a few minutes. But first of all, I'd just like to remind you that you did also both sign the informed consent and authorization for services. And this document, it's not a contract. I'm just reminding you did sign this already, but you're free to ask to have your informed consent destroyed or revised at any time for any reason. I just wanted to remind you about the confidentiality. And you do have the right, everything that you say here is confidential and private, but you have the right to receive confidential services and to have your privacy safeguarded. So I want you to feel comfortable with that. Our confidential records will be fully protected, except in very limited circumstances as required by law. And so those exceptions do include protection against clear or imminent risk of harm to yourself or others, indications that abuse or neglect may be occurring to either children or adults, or if we need to release them by court order. Okay? All right. And so I did want to just, let's see here. I saw that the referral that we received was because Mrs. Parra, your husband Don, he's been diagnosed with dementia, and what are your feelings about that? About the medical maybe diagnosis that he's received? How are you both feeling about that?
Kind of down because I don't know where this is going. I have an idea. I've been told about it, but it's scary.
Yes, those types of situations are a bit scary at first until we're able to learn ways of managing the
Coping
diagnosis and learning about our coping skills and things like that. So that's understandable. And Mr. Parra, how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like I'm losing myself because I know what's coming ahead, where I won't be able to recognize probably my wife or my kids or anybody else, and that's scary.
It is.
And seems like it'd be very lonely.
And that's all very understandable. Those are symptoms that do come with that type of a diagnosis. The good thing about it is that there is hope. There's hope for, like you said, trying to manage the care, having some control over it, and maybe not feeling so out of control because you're just being directed by the doctors, do this, do that. You need to feel comfortable with what's going on, and I'm here to try to help you understand the situation that you're in, and hopefully give you a better understanding so that you can make some decisions that serve your family and your interests for an outcome that might be more desirable. And so,
Can it be slowed down?
the actual, are you talking about the disease?
Yes.
It can be slowed down a little. Of course, we don't have control over how everybody reacts
Every
to
person is
it.
different.
Every person gets it in different ways. And so you would know better as to if you would know better what he's going through, and if you feel that maybe it's happening quicker more than not. Are those the feelings that you're having, that it's going by really fast, or that things are getting
It's scary.
and so what is scary about it? What is it that you're feeling when you say that you're feeling scared?
I'm scared for him. That I won't be able to help him in any way.
And there are a lot of things that you can do to help him, and there are a lot of things, Mr. Parra, that you can do also to help yourself. There, trying to keep your mind sharp is there. There are a lot of different ways that that you can do that, and so hopefully we can point you in the right direction.
Okay.
And so, what I wanted to talk to you about when I talked about the comprehensive intake, and maybe it's part of the referral and why you were sent here. Because they did notice, for instance, you had mentioned that you're having starting with some mild sleep issues and maybe some concentration problems. Those come with age also, but they also come with stress and anxiety. And so it might be a little bit of both that maybe you're both dealing with.
I think we are.
And okay, and so it's good to see here that right now you're not feeling that you're, either one of you are dealing with anxiety or panic attacks or things like that. And what I saw here is that right now, as far as remembering your mind, according to what the information that they gave us. See, I shouldn't have said that because I wouldn't have your medical records in front of me. So I need to change that. Okay, I need to go to solution focused. Okay. So all right. So you were mentioning some difficulties that maybe you have already started to encounter. And tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, forgetfulness. It's getting to be a little bit more that we're noticing. It's not real bad, but still.
So what it sounds like you're saying is that this is just like maybe the beginning part, where so you're having to make some adjustments, maybe making it known that, so you're now realizing that. And so what are your feelings about that? Are you,
Well, I can tell the difference, that I am losing um, perspective of what I'm doing or what I was going to do and forget what I went for. And another thing that I think worries me a lot is, and makes me feel worse, is that being what I would call locked up in a place, uh, maybe not under key or whatever, but in a place where they are supposed to take care of me. And I would feel like I'm locked up because I'm always used to just moving around and doing things outside and inside, everything. So I think that would hurt me a lot too.
and so how have you been coping with those difficulties? Like, are you talking to each
We
other
help
about
each
it?
other.
Help each other.
But what I forget, she usually helps me with, and she helps me just with a word or just anything to bring back my thought.
Hmm. And so those are the things that are keeping you going in the right
Yeah.
direction, correct?
Yeah,
And
we fill in where the other one can't.
Mhm.
He does that to me too.
That's wonderful, and so that's how you're managing day to day by doing that. And so, who is your greatest source of support when you're in a situation like this?
My daughter.
Your daughter, and then what about you, Mr. Parra? Who is your greatest support?
My wife,
Okay.
definitely.
And so, do you feel that your daughter is helpful when it comes to situations like that? Do you feel comfortable talking to her about
Definitely.
anything that any issues that come up?
Definitely.
And do you feel the same way, Mr. Parra,
My
about
daughter? Well, my wife and my daughter, because my daughter, she does anything and everything for us. We don't even have to ask her; she just helps.
So, does she know the feelings that you're having, or maybe the issues that are starting to come up at home with maybe the beginning of
Not
forgetfulness? No?
No, not everything, but
You just kind of not talked about it. You're just trying to keep it within
Mhm.
yourselves for right now.
trying to cope.
Not to
between
worry her so
each
much
other.
so quick either.
Right, and that's understandable. Trying to not maybe worry family, but a family can be a great source of support also. And like you said, when you're talking about when you've got issues, he helps you try to figure it out. And when he's got issues, you try to help him figure it out.
Mhm.
If you're saying that your daughter and you're saying the same thing, that she might be a person that could help to support you, where you might not feel so all alone, where you might not want to keep it so private. You might want to get her a little more involved so that you can feel more
Exactly.
confident about what you're doing, more supported, maybe.
Makes sense.
And so, the reason that you're here today is, I think that uh, they were referring you here for therapy, and maybe it doesn't have to be um, uh, so definite, meaning that you don't want to seek uh, residential care for him. It, maybe it's they were just a little concerned about maybe you being overwhelmed, maybe the both of you starting to feel overwhelmed, and they wanted to make sure that maybe you had some outside resources outside the home to maybe show you that there is support. And there are a lot of steps between where we are today and the recommendation and actually being in moving into residential care. There's a lot of steps in between, and so coming here, I think, is a good thing. It can open up resources within the community that might help. And you can see that this is a very common occurrence within families and especially older generations. It happens with anyone that might be going through something, an illness, uh, anything like that. Um,
I try to avoid that as long as possible.
of course. Yes, that's understandable. And I just want to let you know that it's also something that's common, and you're not the only ones going through this. There is support within the medical community and within the community here in Las Cruces.
Group support.
Yes, there are support groups. Yes. And so, is that something that maybe you would be interested in going to? Possibly.
I think so.
And the information that they give at places like that is, I mean, it's a very informative place to go to, and there's a lot of support there, not only with the group of people that you're there with, but they also bring outside agencies to come in and to show you what what resources are out there, like for instance, to work with keeping our minds sharp, you know, not just necessarily for Mr. Parra, but we could all benefit from those types of services,
Definitely.
especially in this type of a situation. I think it would be beneficial. And if you're agreeing to possibly try something like that, I think that's a wonderful idea. How do you feel about that, Mr. Parra?
Well, I think it'd be supportive to hear what other people go through or have gone through.
Mhm.
And is there a cost for all this, or?
It looks like, let me just take a look real quick. From what I can see here, it looks like your insurance would cover support groups.
Oh, good.
So I think it would be a really
That's
great
something
idea.
I hadn't even thought of.
Right? And because there are so many different, like this would be a specific one for Alzheimer's. And because there's, I don't want to say a spectrum, but because there are so many different stages, I think you would benefit from seeing people that have already gone ahead of you. And you could also be a support for people that
For
are
others.
just coming in.
That's
Yes.
See? And so, let me see here. And so, I'm going to ask you a miracle question here. And, or better yet, I'd like to ask you, excuse me, sorry. I'd like to ask you maybe a scaling question so that we can compare maybe this meeting to our next one and how your feelings either how you're still feeling or if your feelings have changed. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not likely at all and 10 being very likely, how confident are you? I would like to start with you, Mrs. Parra. How confident are you that you would be willing to go to maybe a meeting once a week?
9.
A 9? So very likely.
Mhm.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Parra? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not the type of person that talks
It's okay, I was just...
about your personal stuff at all with anybody, but it does seem like it would help. So I would put a 7 on that.
A 7.
I'd probably try it.
Okay, and those are great numbers to start out with. Those are fantastic numbers to start out with because it's showing your willingness to try to do something and to help yourselves feel better about the situation. Okay, and then so
You need to finish some back there.
oh, okay, thank you. And so maybe I'd like to find out a little bit about how you've maybe dealt with maybe this type of a situation in the past. Has there ever been, have either one of you ever been maybe sick or ill in the past where you've maybe been in this kind of a situation where you've had to help each other?
Yes. When my wife had a brain aneurysm, I had to take over everything for her and help her in the hospital and at therapies and at home, and still do. So we've done it a lot.
And so because you were the one that was caring for her when she needed you, it might be a little harder for you to be on the opposite side of that now, where now you're
Yes.
needing a little more care.
Right.
So that I can understand.
And harder on me because I haven't been there.
Right, right. And that's why I think it would be really great to be with people that are dealing with the same types of situations. So maybe you don't have to maybe worry or think about things so much, and you can just go off of the lead of what they're trying to help you with and what other people have gone through with
Be
their
open.
experiences. And well, that also is extremely important, being open at those meetings,
But if you're
because
not, you might as well not go because you're lying to yourself to start with and to anybody else trying to help you.
absolutely, absolutely. And so when you were going through that difficult time, how did you um, give me a sec. So when you were going through that difficult time, what did that look like? Was it maybe more positive than negative?
Positive in what way or negative in what way? Because it had both. One day she was dying, the other day she was a vegetable, and it just kept on going like that for a long time.
I'm so sorry to hear that you went through all that. That must have been very difficult for both of you.
It was
Very.
because I couldn't help myself for anything.
And so, what were the positive things that you would focus on? Like, what got you through that? Because that sounds like something that could really tear maybe even a relationship, a family apart.
That she,
How did you?
to me, that she would try anything that they give.
Not giving up.
Resilience,
She would
not
try it
giving
and
up.
do it.
Giving up at all.
So I had to push on with it.
We saw so many patients that were in the same boat that I was that wouldn't care about doing anything for themselves. They didn't want to.
A lot didn't want to, and a lot of them didn't have support there.
And I think that's the main thing,
Right.
is not having someone to
To
support
me, that's
you.
what kept me going.
Exactly.
Because I stayed with her 24/7 while she was over at the hospital.
And how did you do that? Were you how long ago was this?
It was in 2010.
And so were you both working at the time when this happened,
I
or what did
wasn't.
that look like? Okay.
I was the only one working at NASA, and I had so much vacation that they covered all the time that we were over there, except one last week.
2.5 months.
I stayed over there with her 24/7.
Well, now I see how you got through that. I mean, that's a huge
Mhm.
part.
Yes.
Having him there with you
He was my rock.
day in and day out. And if only everybody could have that, right?
Yes.
It would help a lot.
Yes.
I've been very blessed.
Yes, I can see that. And let's see here. And so, okay, I guess I am going to go ahead and ask the miracle question. And so, the question just involves, let's say that you both went, and I'd like to answer it individually. And so, if you went to bed, let's say tonight, and a miracle happened, and the problem that brought you to therapy was solved, how would you know, Mrs. Parra? And I could repeat that if you'd like.
He'd be himself the way I've known him all this time. An energizer bunny, just going, going, going.
Okay. Mr. Parra?
That's one one way to tell. And the other one that I'm always trying to make her laugh and joke, and with the sickness, you just don't do that.
And then so about the reason that that you came here today, I'm pretty sure because we have had situations like this in the past. And we're just like, for instance, at the beginning of your diagnosis, and oh gosh, hold on. What am I trying to say? Because we're at the beginning stage of your Alzheimer's, because you've just been recently diagnosed. Like I said, I think the reason that they were considering, it doesn't look like they specifically are demanding, or that you're not at the point where something like that is even something that really needs to happen right now. But I'm pretty sure that if you since you're considering to get the outside support, that I believe that'll be sufficient enough for now. And so would a weekly type of a session, like a group session, okay, let me just start out again. Usually when we refer you out to a program in the community that deals with Alzheimer's, they want to kind of do an intake like we did first, to see where you are as far as you've just recently been diagnosed. So that's good. Gosh, I'm losing my train of thought.
And as to how often it would need to be done.
Yes, that was my point. Thank you. Thanks. Yes, then that would determine how often maybe you might need the services. And so would once a week, does that sound like a good place to maybe start? Or how do you feel about that? That way, when I refer you, I can at least let them know where you feel you are, how you feel about that.
Well, right now, at the moment, I think once a week would be good.
Okay.
And if we needed to, then later on, maybe more frequent.
Okay. And we haven't referred anyone there lately. And so they might not even start you out at once a week. It might even be something where it would be, maybe once every 2 weeks to start out with. And then,
That would be good, gradually.
Right.
Get into it.
Right. And then maybe you would need more of the services maybe later on down the line. Right. What do you think about that, Mr. Parra?
Well, like I said, I'm willing to try it. Anything that might help.
It's a wonderful attitude.
Help us, or help us help somebody else too.
Okay. All right. And I can see that you seem to be a very close couple from what you've told me.
We are.
That's a wonderful place to be in this day and age, because we've got all kinds of families falling apart, and so you should be very proud of where you are at this point in time.
We're very blessed that we're together, and
yes,
we love each other very much.
How long have you been married?
25 years.
25, 26.
25, 26
We're
years?
close to that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And so, how did you first meet?
Oh my God, it's a love story.
A love story.
A fairy tale.
Aww.
From Court Junior High, and we barely knew each other. Then we went apart. Well, we never really dated or nothing. We just went our separate ways, and then as adults, divorced with kids, we ran into each other and we started seeing each other. And here we are.
So that is a love story.
It is.
That is a love story. And so you started out by being in the same school and you knew each other, but you're telling me that you didn't wind up dating then.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And then so you both married someone else.
Yes.
Married and had children, like the story goes.
Mm-hmm. And then
We both were divorced, and we just happened to walk into the same place at about the same time.
wow.
Introduced by his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And when we saw each other, we, hi!
Where have you been?
Oh, it's you!
Aw,
And we haven't left each other.
that's wonderful. That's a beautiful story. Thank
It
you
is.
for sharing.
It's longer and prettier, but make it short.
Yes. And so I would just like to say that hold on, there's a little saying here I wanted to say. Well, anyway, it's about as far as that goes, I wouldn't change a thing. You guys seem to be you seem to have a wonderful relationship, and that's really going to play out as you've seen in the past, where it just brought you closer.
Oh, yes.
It has.
And how do you feel that it brought you closer? Like,
We've been there for each other, for anything,
And everything.
for whatever.
and that seems to be a very positive, common theme throughout your relationship.
Yes,
That
from the very beginning.
that no matter maybe
We just kind of meshed.
We like the same things. We watch the same things. We enjoy the same
We're
things.
always talking to each other.
and that as that helped you
Yes.
when you were going through your
Definitely.
difficult times, that's
Definitely.
now, Mr. Parra, going to help you.
I hope so.
And I truly believe that, because
think so,
we
too.
seem to have very positive outcomes when, especially when couples work so well together and get along so well.
I'm sure that she can do what I did for her. She can do for me now.
Absolutely.
And she will.
And also about possibly bringing your daughter into this. Is there anyone else that maybe you might want to that might be another source of support that you maybe hadn't thought about, that you might maybe want to include?
Well, I have his sister that's very close to.
But she's too sentimental.
Well,
We don't need that.
then we have your children too. Your sons and your daughter.
I'd have to think about that.
Okay.
But
And there's plenty of time for that, to think about that, and it's something you guys might want to consider maybe once you go home and think about it and talk about it later, of maybe who else you might want to involve, or just let them know what's going on. And then that can be helpful if you have someone supportive, but it could also cause drama and be a detriment if they're not.
Definitely.
see, that's why I don't want
So-
my sister, because she'd be a dramatic person.
How has she done that in the past?
Well, she overreacts for everything.
Oh, okay. Okay. And that's understandable. We right now is not the time that maybe you need to invite
No.
that type of a personality or have those types of feelings to deal with. And so maybe once you go into the group, I'd be really interested to know, maybe after you go to a group session. And I'm not really sure. I think they start out doing like individual sessions, maybe a couple times, and then they'll have you go into the group
Integrate
sessions.
with the group.
Correct. Correct, and then it would depend on how you felt at that time.
Right.
But if your feelings don't change, I think it would be a very positive thing for the both of you.
I think so too.
And so, being here today, hold on. Okay. And so, what are your best hopes of us working together?
Mine is being able to cope with the illness and how to handle it, how to handle myself.
Okay. And those types of feelings are the types of feelings that people that just in general have. You want to feel comfortable with how you feel, with what you're doing, with how you're acting, reacting.
That's another one, how to act in front of people, or how to try to, because I don't know how it would be, right?
Right. And then, so have you ever, like, now that you've been recently diagnosed, did they discuss Alzheimer's with you? Did the doctors discuss that with you?
Little bit.
A little bit? And or have you is there any other way that you've gotten information about Alzheimer's, or
We've seen other people.
Other couple or single persons, and
within your
that have gone through
family
that.
or friends?
family and friends.
Family
Yes.
and friends. And so when you look at that, maybe like pick one of those family and or friends, and when you look at that, what types of things do you see that you don't want to happen here? And then after that, I'd like to find out what you saw that you would like to happen. We'd like to finish on a positive note.
Well, the thing that the way you look, the way you act in front of people, and the way they look at you, a lot of people look at you like, are you crazy, or you lost it, or what? Because you can't remember things, or you're not doing the things you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're different.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that something that you don't want to have
Right.
to go through, or that you're not looking forward
Right.
to.
Very true.
Yes. And what about you, Mrs. Parra? Something that you wouldn't want to happen here?
Well, the same thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Being in public and being able to cope with each other to where it wouldn't be so obvious to other people
Right.
that they would look shocked or make fun.
Mm-hmm. And so when you saw, was that a family member or friends that you were talking about? Well, I guess it doesn't.
Both.
Both?
It's been both.
And so when they were going through that, did you notice a point in time where maybe they did start talking about it, or they did finally start to let people know?
You mean the patient itself?
No, I just meant, like, for instance, you're saying that your friends or your family that you know that they had, one of them had Alzheimer's, or that they were dealing with that. And so did you notice a point in time where you were looking at them, like you were saying that they're looking at you strange, or you're noticing that they're acting different? Was there a point in time where maybe they did decide to tell everyone? Or was it just hearsay, or you?
I think it was just kind of common
It
knowledge
just like
at that time
came little by little.
Mm-hmm.
because family knew.
Oh, okay, okay.
And friends would,
Just start noticing it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the things that maybe you might not want to have to deal with?
Not having people be supportive
Okay.
or understanding.
Right. That's extremely
That's the
important.
main thing. And then being able to recognize your own family.
Okay.
To me, that's big.
All right. Well, I am gonna write those things down, and those are things that we are gonna look into, and I believe that those will be definitely addressed in your for your outside referral, and there'll be things that'll be talked about and things that you
Good.
can share within your support groups.
Right.
And so, so uh, do you feel that that hold on. I'm trying to wrap it up. I'm just not knowing how to wrap it up because I know that when you're doing a solution focused brief therapy, you're just supposed to just kind of let them walk out feeling hopeful and confident that they know and feel confident in the decisions that they're making. So I'm having a hard time wrapping it up.
Do we
Dr.
feel
V.
that this session helped us at all?
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
I guess I could say that. And so uh,
Point us in the right direction. Yes.
uh-huh.
Definitely.
I can see that that you're both interested in developing strength, and well, not necessarily strength. You've got a lot of strength within the two of you, but maybe
Support.
support.
Yes.
You know that there's hope,
Exactly.
and I can see that you're moving in the right direction. You've got the attitude that you need to have to be able to go through this situation, and it doesn't have to be difficult. When you know what you're getting ready to go through, and you can be ready for it. You know, you can set yourself up for positiveness and more support, and within your family and within the community. And I believe that that is a wonderful place to be. And I really look forward to talking to you again and seeing what has how the referral goes. And so I'll make sure that when you leave today, I'll just need a few minutes if you don't mind waiting out in front. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the paperwork, and I'll hand you the referral, and then you can take it there maybe within the next week, and get in there and find out what your next step would be. And I can't wait to talk to you again and see where this takes you.
We want to thank you so much because you have really made it easier to think that there's other solutions that we can have later on. Opened up some doors.
We're not all alone back here just thinking and wondering. It's like there is more out there.
Yes.
And more understanding about the illness, maybe.
Yes, and with an open mind and with a great attitude, it's you're helping yourselves get through this in a more positive way, and that's wonderful to see. So I can't wait to see you next time.
And thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming in. I'm scared to get rid of it.